The international worldwisdomwell.com brings you this carefully curated rare audiobook, Exploring Philosophy. Chapter 1. Introduction to Philosophy. Defining philosophy. Philosophy is the pursuit of wisdom through reasoned inquiry into fundamental questions about existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language. Philosophers employ logical analysis, argumentation, and systematic thinking to explore these questions. The field can be divided into several branches: metaphysics, the nature of reality; epistemology, the study of knowledge; ethics, the study of morality; logic, the principles of valid reasoning; aesthetics, the study of beauty and art; and political philosophy, the study of government and justice. Historical overview. Philosophy's history is rich and diverse, spanning multiple cultures and eras. The ancient Greeks, such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, laid the groundwork for Western philosophy, exploring themes of ethics, politics, and metaphysics. In the East, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism provided deep insights into human nature, society, and the cosmos. The medieval period saw the integration of classical philosophy with religious doctrines in thinkers like Augustine and Aquinas. The modern era, marked by the Renaissance and Enlightenment, brought new perspectives with philosophers like Descartes, Hume, and Kant. Contemporary philosophy continues to evolve, addressing new challenges and integrating diverse viewpoints. Importance of philosophical inquiry. Philosophical inquiry is essential for several reasons. It promotes critical thinking, helping individuals to question assumptions, analyze arguments, and develop coherent positions on complex issues. Philosophy also fosters intellectual humility, recognizing the limitations of our knowledge and the value of diverse perspectives. Additionally, philosophy addresses fundamental human concerns, such as the nature of reality, the basis of morality, and the meaning of life, providing a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Chapter 2. Metaphysics, the nature of reality. Examining the fundamental nature of reality. Metaphysics explores the most basic questions about the nature of reality. It seeks to understand what exists, the nature of objects and their properties, and the relationship between mind and matter. Key metaphysical questions include: what is the nature of being? What is the nature of space and time? What is causality? Concepts of existence, time, space, and causality. Existence. Philosophers debate whether existence is a property of objects or a condition of being. Ontology, a subfield of metaphysics, categorizes different kinds of existence, such as physical, abstract, and fictional entities. Time. Philosophical theories of time include presentism, only the present exists; eternalism, past, present, and future equally exist; and the growing block theory, the past and present exist, but the future does not. Space. The nature of space involves questions about whether it is a substance, a relation between objects, or a conceptual framework. Philosophers like Leibniz and Newton offered contrasting views on space as relational versus absolute. Causality. Causation explores the relationship between cause and effect. Different theories include deterministic causation, every event is necessitated by prior events; probabilistic causation, causes increase the likelihood of effects; and agent causation, agents can initiate new causal chains. Historical and contemporary perspectives. Historical perspectives on metaphysics include Plato's theory of forms, which posits that abstract forms are the most real entities, and Aristotle's substance theory, which emphasizes concrete particulars. Contemporary metaphysicians, such as David Lewis and Saul Kripke, address issues like modal realism, the reality of possible worlds, and the nature of necessity and contingency. Chapter 3. Epistemology, the study of knowledge. Investigating the nature, scope, and limits of human knowledge. Epistemology examines the nature and scope of knowledge, asking questions such as: what is knowledge? How is it acquired? What justifies belief? Key concepts include belief, truth, and justification. Theories of truth and justification. Theories of truth. Correspondence. Theory. Truth is a matter of correspondence between beliefs and the external world. Coherence theory. Truth is a matter of coherence among a set of beliefs. Pragmatic theory. Truth is defined by the practical consequences of belief. Deflationary theory. Truth is a minimal property, often expressed in terms like, it is true that P just means P. Theories of justification. Foundationalism. Beliefs are justified based on basic, self-evident truths. Coherentism. Beliefs are justified by their coherence with other beliefs in a system. Reliabilism. Beliefs are justified if they are produced by reliable cognitive processes. Rationalism and empiricism. Rationalism. Rationalists, like Descartes and Leibniz, argue that reason is the primary source of knowledge. They emphasize the role of innate ideas and a priori knowledge, knowledge independent of experience. Empiricism. Empiricists, like Locke, Berkeley, and Hume, contend that knowledge arises from sensory experience. They emphasize a posteriori knowledge, knowledge dependent on experience, and the role of perception in shaping our understanding of the world. Contemporary issues in epistemology. Contemporary epistemology addresses challenges such as skepticism, the view that knowledge is impossible, the Gettier problem, situations where justified true belief does not constitute knowledge, and the impact of cognitive science on our understanding of knowledge acquisition. Social epistemology examines the communal aspects of knowledge, including the role of testimony, trust, and epistemic injustice. Chapter 4. Ethics, the study of morality. Exploring theories of ethics. Ethics investigates what is morally right and wrong, good and bad. It provides frameworks for evaluating human actions and guiding moral decision-making. Key ethical theories include virtue ethics, utilitarianism, and deontology. Virtue ethics. Virtue ethics, rooted in Aristotle's philosophy, focuses on the development of good character traits or virtues. It emphasizes moral character and the importance of cultivating virtues such as courage, temperance, and wisdom. Virtue ethics suggests that ethical behavior arises from a virtuous character, and living a virtuous life leads to eudaimonia, flourishing, or the good life. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism, developed by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, proposes that the right action is the one that maximizes overall happiness or utility. It is a consequentialist theory, meaning that the morality of an action is determined by its outcomes. Utilitarianism advocates for impartial consideration of all individuals' happiness and aims to promote the greatest good for the greatest number. Deontology. Deontological ethics, most notably associated with Immanuel Kant, emphasizes duty and adherence to moral rules. It asserts that certain actions are morally obligatory, regardless of their consequences. Kantian ethics is based on the categorical imperative, which requires that actions be universalizable, applicable to all rational beings, and that individuals be treated as ends in themselves, not merely as means to an end. Moral dilemmas and ethical decision-making. Moral dilemmas arise when individuals face conflicting moral obligations or values. Ethical decision-making involves evaluating these conflicts and making choices that align with one's moral principles. Philosophical tools, such as reflective equilibrium, balancing moral principles with considered judgments, help navigate these dilemmas. Chapter 5. Political philosophy, power, authority, and justice. Concepts of justice, liberty, and equality. Political philosophy examines the nature and justification of political authority, the rights and obligations of citizens, and the principles of justice, liberty, and equality. It addresses fundamental questions about the organization of society and the distribution of power and resources. Theories of justice. Justice theories explore how goods and burdens should be distributed in society. Prominent theories include distributive justice, focuses on the fair allocation of resources. John Rawls' theory of justice as fairness advocates for principles chosen under a veil of ignorance, ensuring fairness and equality. Retributive justice concerns the fair punishment of wrongdoing. It emphasizes proportionality and the moral desert of individuals. Social justice addresses systemic inequalities and advocates for measures to promote equality and inclusion. Theories of liberty. Liberty theories examine the nature and limits of individual freedom. Isaiah Berlin's distinction between negative liberty, freedom from interference, and positive liberty, freedom to achieve one's potential, highlights different aspects of liberty. Philosophers debate the balance between individual freedom and collective security, especially in contexts like free speech, privacy, and public health. Theories of governance and social contract. Social contract theories developed by Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau argue that political authority derives from an implicit agreement among individuals to form a society. These theories provide different justifications for government power and individual rights. Hobbes. In a state of nature, life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Individuals consent to an absolute sovereign to ensure peace and security. Locke. The state of nature is governed by natural law, granting individuals rights to life, liberty, and property. Government's role is to protect these rights, and it can be overthrown if it fails to do so. Rousseau. The social contract is based on the general will, reflecting the collective interest of the community. Individuals achieve true freedom through participation in the collective decision-making process. Contemporary political philosophy. Contemporary political philosophy addresses issues like democracy, justice, human rights, and global justice. Philosophers like Amartya Sen and Martha Nussbaum develop capabilities approaches, focusing on what individuals can do and be. Debates on multiculturalism, feminism, and post-colonialism explore the impact of culture, gender, and history on political theory. Chapter 6. Logic, the Science of Reasoning. Introduction to Formal Logic. Logic is the systematic study of the principles of valid inference and correct reasoning. It involves the analysis of arguments, the structure of propositions, and the rules governing logical deduction and induction. Deductive and inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning. Deductive arguments aim to provide conclusive support for their conclusions. If the premises are true and the argument is valid, the conclusion must be true. Examples include syllogisms and mathematical proofs. Example: all humans are mortal. Socrates is a human. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Inductive reasoning. Inductive arguments aim to provide probable support for their conclusions. They involve generalizing from specific observations or making predictions based on patterns. Example: the sun has risen every day in recorded history. Therefore, the sun will rise tomorrow. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that undermine the validity of an argument. Common fallacies include ad hominem, attacking the person instead of the argument. Straw man, misrepresenting an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. Appeal to authority, assuming a claim is true because an authority figure endorses it. False dilemma, presenting only two options when more exist. Symbolic logic. Symbolic logic uses formal systems to represent logical expressions. Propositional logic deals with propositions and their connectives, and or not if-then, while predicate logic extends this with quantifiers for all, there exists, and predicates. Symbolic logic provides tools for analyzing complex arguments and formalizing reasoning. Modal logic and other extensions. Modal logic introduces modalities, such as necessity and possibility, to classical logic. It allows for the analysis of statements about what could be or must be. Other extensions include temporal logic, reasoning about time, deontic logic, reasoning about duty and obligation, and fuzzy logic, dealing with degrees of truth. Chapter 7. Philosophy of Mind. Exploring consciousness. The nature of consciousness. Philosophy of mind investigates the nature of mental phenomena, consciousness, and their relationship to the physical world. Key questions include: what is consciousness? How do mental states relate to brain states? What is the nature of subjective experience? Mind-body dualism versus materialism. Mind-body dualism. Dualism, notably advocated by Descartes, posits that mind and body are distinct substances. The mind is immaterial and capable of thought, while the body is material and extended in space. Dualism faces challenges in explaining how mind and body interact. Materialism. Materialism asserts that mental states are physical states. Variants include: identity theory. Mental states are identical to brain states. Functionalism. Mental states are defined by their functional roles, not by their physical makeup. A mental state is a state that performs a particular function within a system. Eliminative materialism. Some philosophers argue that common-sense psychological concepts, like beliefs and desires, do not correspond to any actual physical states and should be eliminated in favor of neuroscientific explanations. Consciousness and qualia. Qualia refer to the subjective qualities of experience, such as the redness of red or the pain of a headache. Philosophers debate whether qualia can be fully explained by physical processes. The hard problem of consciousness, articulated by David Chalmers, questions how and why physical processes give rise to subjective experience. Free will and determinism. The debate over free will and determinism centers on whether humans have genuine freedom to choose their actions. Determinism holds that every event is necessitated by prior events and natural laws. Compatibilists argue that free will is compatible with determinism, while libertarians maintain that free will requires indeterminism. Contemporary theories and issues. Contemporary philosophy of mind explores topics like the nature of personal identity, the implications of artificial intelligence, and the extended mind hypothesis, which suggests that cognitive processes can extend beyond the brain to include external tools and environments. Chapter 8. Philosophy of language. Meaning and communication. Theories of meaning and reference. Philosophy of language examines how words and sentences acquire meaning, and how language relates to the world. Key theories include: descriptive theory. Proposed by Frege and Russell, it suggests that the meaning of a term is given by a description that uniquely identifies its referent. Causal theory. Advocated by Kripke and Putnam, it posits that a term's reference is determined by an initial baptism and maintained through a causal chain of communication. Language and thought. The relationship between language and thought is a central concern. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis suggests that language shapes thought and perception. Strong linguistic determinism claims that language determines thought, while weak linguistic relativity suggests that language influences thought. Speech acts and pragmatics. Speech act theory, developed by Austin and Searle, examines how utterances perform actions, such as promising, ordering, or questioning. Pragmatics studies how context influences the interpretation of language, considering factors like speaker intention, presupposition, and implicature. The role of language in philosophy. Language is crucial for philosophical analysis. Philosophers like Wittgenstein argue that many philosophical problems arise from misunderstandings of language. His later work emphasizes the idea of language games, where the meaning of words depends on their use in specific contexts. Contemporary issues in philosophy of language. Contemporary debates in philosophy of language address topics like the nature of metaphor, the semantics-pragmatics distinction, and the implications of artificial languages and computer-mediated communication. The role of language in social justice, such as the power of derogatory language and the potential for linguistic reform, is also a significant area of inquiry. Chapter 9. Aesthetics. Philosophy of art and beauty. Defining art and beauty. Aesthetics explores the nature of art, beauty, and taste. It questions what makes something aesthetically valuable and how aesthetic experiences influence human life. Key issues include the definition of art, the criteria for beauty, and the role of the artist. Theories of aesthetic experience. Kant's aesthetics. Kant distinguishes between the beautiful and the sublime. Beauty involves a harmonious interplay of imagination and understanding, while the sublime evokes a sense of awe and grandeur. Hegel's aesthetics. Hegel views art as a manifestation of the absolute spirit, expressing cultural and historical truths. Art progresses through stages, from symbolic to classical to romantic. Nietzsche's aesthetics. Nietzsche emphasizes the Dionysian and Apollonian aspects of art. The Dionysian represents chaos and emotional intensity, while the Apollonian symbolizes order and rationality. The role of art in society. Art serves multiple functions in society, including expression, communication, and reflection. It can challenge norms, provoke thought, and foster empathy. The relationship between art and morality is a topic of debate, with some arguing that art should convey moral messages, while others maintain that art should be autonomous. Contemporary aesthetic theories. Contemporary aesthetics addresses issues like the nature of artistic interpretation, the role of the viewer, and the impact of new media. Feminist aesthetics critiques traditional notions of beauty and art, highlighting the influence of gender and power dynamics. Environmental aesthetics examines the aesthetic appreciation of natural environments and its implications for conservation. Chapter 10. Philosophy of Science. Understanding. Scientific inquiry. The scientific method. The philosophy of science scrutinizes the methods and practices of scientific inquiry. It examines how scientific knowledge is generated, validated, and applied. The scientific method involves observation, hypothesis formation, experimentation, and theory confirmation or falsification. Theories of scientific explanation. Popper's falsifiability. Karl Popper argues that scientific theories must be falsifiable, meaning they can be tested and potentially proven false. Science progresses through conjectures and refutations. Kuhn's paradigm shifts. Thomas Kuhn introduces the concept of paradigms, which are frameworks of accepted theories and practices. Scientific revolutions occur when anomalies accumulate, leading to paradigm shifts and the adoption of new frameworks. Lakatos's research programs. Imre Lakatos combines aspects of Popper and Kuhn, proposing research programs with hard cores, central theories, and protective belts, auxiliary hypotheses. Progress occurs through the modification of the protective belt while the hard core remains intact. Realism versus anti-realism. Scientific realism. Realists argue that scientific theories aim to describe an objective reality and that successful theories are likely true or approximately true. Anti-realism. Anti-realists, such as Bas van Fraassen, contend that scientific theories are tools for predicting observable phenomena, and their truth is not a necessary consideration. Constructive empiricism is a prominent anti-realist stance. The role of values in science. The philosophy of science also examines the role of values in scientific inquiry. Value-free ideal suggests that science should be objective and free from social or ethical values. However, critics argue that values inevitably influence the choice of research topics, the interpretation of data, and the application of scientific knowledge. Contemporary issues in philosophy of science. Contemporary debates address the implications of scientific advances, such as the ethics of genetic engineering, the reliability of climate models, and the nature of scientific progress. The relationship between science and society, including issues of public trust in science and the impact of science on policy, is also a significant area of inquiry. Chapter 11. Existentialism, freedom, anxiety, and authenticity. Key existentialist thinkers. Existentialism emphasizes individual existence, freedom, and choice. Key existentialist philosophers include Søren Kierkegaard. Often considered the father of existentialism, Kierkegaard explores themes of faith, individuality, and the leap into the absurd. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche challenges traditional values and emphasizes the will to power, the eternal recurrence, and the creation of meaning through the Übermensch. Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre's existentialism focuses on the concepts of radical freedom, bad faith, and the necessity of creating one's essence through choices. Martin Heidegger. Heidegger examines the nature of being, authenticity, and the human condition of being toward death. The concept of authenticity. Authenticity involves living in accordance with one's true self and values, rather than conforming to societal expectations. It requires self-awareness, acceptance of one's freedom, and responsibility for one's choices. Authenticity contrasts with inauthenticity, where individuals evade their freedom and responsibility, leading to existential angst. Freedom and responsibility. Existentialism posits that humans are radically free and must take responsibility for their actions. This freedom is both a source of empowerment and existential anxiety, as individuals confront the absence of inherent meaning and the necessity of creating their own values. The absurd and the search for meaning. The absurd arises from the conflict between the human desire for meaning and the indifferent, meaningless universe. Albert Camus explores this theme, suggesting that one must embrace the absurd and live with passion and defiance. The search for meaning involves creating personal values and purpose in the face of an indifferent world. Existentialism in literature and art. Existential themes are prominent in literature and art, reflecting the struggles of individuals to find meaning and authenticity. Works by Dostoevsky, Kafka, and Beckett illustrate existential dilemmas, while visual arts and theater explore existentialist motifs through abstraction, symbolism, and the portrayal of human freedom and despair. Chapter 12. Phenomenology, the study of experience, the nature of phenomenology. Phenomenology is the philosophical study of the structures of experience and consciousness. It seeks to describe phenomena as they are experienced, without presuppositions or theoretical interpretations. Key figures include Edmund Husserl, Martin Heidegger, and Maurice Merleau-Ponty. Husserl's phenomenological method. Edmund Husserl, the founder of phenomenology, introduces the concept of intentionality, which posits that consciousness is always directed toward an object. His phenomenological method involves epoché, bracketing, where one suspends judgments about the external world to focus on the structures of experience. Husserl aims to uncover the essential features of consciousness and the constitution of meaning. Heidegger's Being and Time. Martin Heidegger expands phenomenology to include the analysis of being. In Being and Time, he explores the human condition, Dasein, and its fundamental structures, such as being in the world, being toward death, and authenticity. Heidegger emphasizes the temporal and existential aspects of human existence. Merleau-Ponty's embodied phenomenology. Maurice Merleau-Ponty focuses on the embodied nature of perception and experience. He argues that the body is not merely a physical object but a lived, experiential entity through which we engage with the world. His work explores the interrelation of perception, embodiment, and the lived world. Phenomenology and the study of otherness. Phenomenology also addresses the experience of the other and the nature of intersubjectivity. Emmanuel Levinas emphasizes the ethical dimensions of encountering the other, arguing that the face-to-face encounter imposes a moral obligation. Phenomenology's focus on lived experience provides insights into diverse experiences, including those of marginalized and oppressed groups. Contemporary phenomenology. Contemporary phenomenology continues to explore themes of embodiment, perception, and intersubjectivity. It engages with other philosophical traditions, such as existentialism, hermeneutics, and cognitive science. Phenomenological approaches are applied in fields like psychology, psychiatry, and the arts, enriching our understanding of human experience. Chapter 13. Hermeneutics. The art of interpretation, the nature of hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the theory and methodology of interpretation, originally focused on the interpretation of texts, especially religious and legal texts. It has since expanded to encompass the interpretation of human experience, language, and culture. Key figures include Friedrich Schleiermacher, Wilhelm Dilthey, Hans-Georg Gadamer, and Paul Ricoeur. Schleiermacher and Dilthey, Foundations of Hermeneutics. Friedrich Schleiermacher is considered the father of modern hermeneutics. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the author's intention and the historical context of the text. Wilhelm Dilthey extends hermeneutics to the human sciences, arguing that understanding human life requires interpreting lived experiences and cultural expressions. Gadamer's Philosophical Hermeneutics. Hans-Georg Gadamer's Truth and Method develops a philosophical hermeneutics that emphasizes the role of historical consciousness and the fusion of horizons. Gadamer argues that understanding is not a methodical process, but a dialogical engagement with tradition and the interpreter's historical situation. He stresses the importance of prejudice, prejudgment, in shaping our understanding. Ricoeur's Hermeneutics of Suspicion and Faith. Paul Ricoeur combines hermeneutics with phenomenology and existentialism. He introduces the hermeneutics of suspicion, which critically examines underlying power structures and ideologies, and the hermeneutics of faith, which seeks to understand meaning and truth. Ricoeur's work explores the interplay between interpretation, narrative, and identity. Hermeneutics and the interpretation of culture. Hermeneutics extends beyond textual interpretation to include the interpretation of cultural practices, symbols, and social phenomena. It provides tools for understanding diverse cultural expressions and the ways in which meaning is constructed and communicated. Contemporary hermeneutics. Contemporary hermeneutics engages with post-structuralism, critical theory, and deconstruction. It addresses issues of power, ideology, and the politics of interpretation. Hermeneutics remains relevant in fields like literary theory, theology, law, and the social sciences, offering insights into the complexities of meaning and understanding. Chapter 14. Structuralism and Post-structuralism. Language, Power, and Meaning. The rise of structuralism. Structuralism emerged as a method of analyzing cultural phenomena through the underlying structures that govern them. It is influenced by the linguistic theories of Ferdinand de Saussure, who emphasized the relational nature of linguistic signs, signifier and signified, and the arbitrary nature of the sign. Key figures include Claude Lévi-Strauss, Roland Barthes, and Michel Foucault. Structural anthropology and semiotics. Claude Lévi-Strauss applied structuralist principles to anthropology, analyzing myths, kinship systems, and cultural practices as systems of signs governed by underlying structures. Roland Barthes extended structuralism to literary and cultural criticism, exploring how cultural texts function as systems of signs and how meaning is generated. Post-structuralism and deconstruction. Post-structuralism challenges the assumptions of structuralism, emphasizing the instability and plurality of meaning. Key post-structuralist thinkers include Jacques Derrida, Michel Foucault, and Julia Kristeva. Derrida's deconstruction. Derrida critiques the idea of fixed structures and stable meanings. Deconstruction involves exposing and subverting the hierarchical oppositions within texts and highlighting the play of differences. Foucault's genealogy. Michel Foucault examines the relationship between power, knowledge, and discourse. His genealogical method traces the historical development of discourses and their role in shaping social practices and power relations. Kristeva's intertextuality. Julia. Kristeva introduces the concept of intertextuality, emphasizing the interconnectedness of texts and the fluidity of meaning. Language, power, and subjectivity. Post-structuralists explore how language shapes power relations and constructs subjectivity. They argue that language is not a neutral medium but a site of struggle and negotiation. The subject is seen as a product of discursive practices rather than a stable, autonomous entity. Contemporary applications. Contemporary applications of structuralism and post-structuralism include feminist theory, queer theory, and cultural studies. These approaches examine how identities and social realities are constructed through language and power dynamics. They provide tools for critiquing dominant narratives and exploring alternative perspectives. Chapter 15. Feminist Philosophy, Gender, Power, and Justice. The development of feminist philosophy. Feminist philosophy examines the ways in which gender shapes experiences, identities, and social structures. It critiques traditional philosophy for its androcentrism and advocates for gender equality and social justice. Key figures include Simone de Beauvoir, Judith Butler, and Bell Hooks. Simone de Beauvoir and the Second Sex. Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex is a foundational text in feminist philosophy. She argues that woman is constructed as the other in a patriarchal society, and she explores the social, psychological, and existential dimensions of women's oppression. Beauvoir advocates for women's liberation through existential freedom and self-creation. Judith Butler and gender performativity. Judith Butler's theory of gender performativity challenges the notion of gender as a fixed biological category. She argues that gender is constructed through repeated performances and social practices. Butler's work emphasizes the fluidity and contingency of gender identities and critiques the regulatory norms that enforce binary gender distinctions. Intersectionality and critical race feminism. Intersectionality, introduced by Kimberlé Crenshaw, examines how multiple forms of oppression, such as race, gender, and class, intersect and compound each other. Critical race feminism addresses the specific experiences and struggles of women of color, highlighting the importance of an inclusive and intersectional approach to feminist theory and activism. Feminist epistemology and ethics. Feminist epistemology critiques traditional theories of knowledge for their exclusion of women's experiences and perspectives. It emphasizes the role of social location and power dynamics in shaping knowledge production. Feminist ethics, such as the ethics of care developed by Carol Gilligan, challenges the dominance of abstract, principle-based ethics and advocates for an ethics grounded in relationships and care. Contemporary issues in feminist philosophy. Contemporary feminist philosophy addresses a wide range of issues, including reproductive rights, sexual violence, body politics, and the representation of women in media and culture. It engages with global perspectives, recognizing the diversity of women's experiences and the importance of transnational feminist solidarity. Chapter 16. Environmental Philosophy, Ethics, Ecology, and Sustainability. The emergence of environmental philosophy. Environmental philosophy examines the ethical, metaphysical, and social dimensions of human-environment interactions. It addresses the moral status of the natural world, the ethical implications of environmental degradation, and the principles of sustainable living. Key areas include environmental ethics, deep ecology, and ecofeminism. Environmental ethics. Environmental ethics explores the moral relationship between humans and the natural world. It questions whether non-human entities, such as animals, plants, and ecosystems, have intrinsic value and moral rights. Key positions include anthropocentrism, the view that only humans have intrinsic value and the environment should be protected for human benefit. Biocentrism, the view that all living beings have intrinsic value and moral standing. Ecocentrism, the view that ecosystems and natural processes have intrinsic value, independent of their usefulness to humans. Deep ecology. Deep ecology, founded by Arne Naess, advocates for a fundamental shift in human consciousness and values, recognizing the interconnectedness of all life. It promotes ecological sustainability, biodiversity, and the intrinsic worth of all living beings. Deep ecology calls for profound changes in human behavior and societal structures to align with ecological principles. Ecofeminism. Ecofeminism explores the intersections between the oppression of women and the exploitation of nature. It critiques the patriarchal and dualistic thinking that underpins both gender and environmental injustices. Ecofeminists advocate for an integrated approach to social and environmental justice, emphasizing care, cooperation, and the nurturing of life. Environmental justice. Environmental justice addresses the disproportionate impact of environmental degradation on marginalized and vulnerable communities. It highlights the connections between environmental and social justice, advocating for fair and equitable distribution of environmental benefits and burdens. Environmental justice movements seek to empower affected communities and promote policies that address both environmental and social inequalities. Sustainability and future generations. Environmental philosophy also considers the ethical implications of sustainability and the responsibility to future generations. It questions how to balance present needs with the rights of future generations to a healthy and viable environment. Philosophers debate the principles of intergenerational justice and the ethical frameworks for promoting sustainable development. Chapter 17. Philosophy of Technology. Human, Machines, and Society. The nature of technology. Philosophy of technology examines the nature, development, and impact of technology on human life and society. It explores questions about the relationship between humans and machines, the ethical implications of technological advancements, and the role of technology in shaping human experiences and values. Theories of technology. Instrumentalism. Technology is viewed as a neutral tool that can be used for good or ill, depending on human intentions and purposes. Determinism. Technological determinism argues that technology shapes society and culture in significant ways, often beyond human control. It suggests that technological development follows a fixed trajectory that determines social and cultural changes. Constructivism. Social constructivism emphasizes that technology is shaped by social, cultural, and political factors. It argues that technological artifacts and systems are products of human choices and interactions. Ethical and social implications. The ethical and social implications of technology are a central concern. The ethical challenges posed by artificial intelligence, robotics, and automation, including questions about agency, responsibility, and the future of work. Digital divide. The disparities in access to technology and the resulting social and economic inequalities. Environmental impact. The ecological consequences of technological development and the need for sustainable technologies. Technology and human identity. Technology profoundly influences human identity and self-understanding. Philosophers explore how technologies such as social media, virtual reality, and biotechnology shape our perceptions, relationships, and sense of self. The concept of the cyborg, popularized by Donna Haraway, challenges traditional boundaries between human and machine, highlighting the hybrid and interconnected nature of contemporary existence. Future directions and challenges. The future of technology presents both opportunities and challenges. Emerging technologies such as genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and quantum computing raise new ethical and philosophical questions. The philosophy of technology seeks to understand and guide the development and integration of technology in ways that promote human well-being, justice, and sustainability. Chapter 18. Global and Comparative Philosophy. Bridging Cultures and Traditions. The importance of global philosophy. Global and comparative philosophy explores philosophical traditions from diverse cultures and seeks to bridge gaps between them. It emphasizes the importance of intercultural dialogue, mutual understanding, and the integration of global perspectives into philosophical inquiry. Comparative philosophy. Comparative philosophy examines the similarities and differences between philosophical traditions from different cultures. It involves a critical and constructive engagement with diverse philosophical ideas, aiming to enrich understanding and foster cross-cultural insights. Key areas of comparative philosophy. Comparative ethics. Examining ethical systems and moral philosophies from various traditions, such as Confucianism, Buddhism, and Western ethics, to identify commonalities and differences. Comparative metaphysics. Exploring metaphysical concepts like being, reality, and the nature of the self across different philosophical traditions, such as Hinduism, Taoism, and Western metaphysics. Comparative epistemology. Analyzing theories of knowledge and truth from different cultural perspectives. including indigenous knowledge systems and Western epistemology. Intercultural dialogue and philosophy. Intercultural dialogue involves the exchange of philosophical ideas and perspectives between cultures. It seeks to promote understanding, respect, and collaboration, addressing global challenges and fostering a more inclusive and diverse philosophical landscape. Challenges and opportunities. Global and comparative philosophy faces challenges such as cultural biases, linguistic barriers, and the need for methodological rigor. However, it also offers opportunities for philosophical innovation, the development of new frameworks, and the promotion of global justice and solidarity. Contemporary issues in global philosophy. Contemporary global philosophy addresses issues like globalization, multiculturalism, and the ethics of global interconnectedness. It explores the philosophical implications of global challenges, such as climate change, human rights, and economic inequality, advocating for inclusive and collaborative approaches to these issues. Chapter 19. Applied Ethics. Moral Problems in Contemporary Society. The nature of applied ethics. Applied ethics involves the application of ethical theories and principles to real-world issues and practical contexts. It addresses specific moral problems and seeks to provide guidance for ethical decision-making in various domains of life. Bioethics. Bioethics examines ethical issues in medicine, healthcare, and biological sciences. Key topics include medical ethics, the principles of autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice in medical practice. End-of-life issues, ethical questions surrounding euthanasia, assisted suicide, and palliative care. Reproductive ethics, issues related to abortion, contraception, and reproductive technologies. Genetic ethics, the ethical implications of genetic engineering, cloning, and genomics. Business ethics. Business ethics explores the ethical dimensions of business practices and corporate behavior. Key issues include corporate responsibility, the obligations of businesses to stakeholders, including employees, customers, and the community. Ethical leadership, the role of ethical values and integrity in business leadership. Global business ethics, the ethical challenges of globalization, including labor practices, environmental impact, and cultural differences. Environmental ethics. Environmental ethics addresses the moral relationship between humans and the natural world. It explores issues such as conservation, the ethical principles guiding the protection and preservation of ecosystems and biodiversity. Sustainability, the ethical considerations of sustainable development and resource management. Climate change, the moral responsibilities related to mitigating and adapting to climate change. Technology ethics. Technology ethics examines the ethical implications of technological advancements. Key topics include AI and machine learning, the ethical challenges of artificial intelligence, including bias, transparency, and accountability. Privacy, the impact of digital technologies on individual privacy and data security. Cyberethics, the ethical issues related to cybersecurity, hacking, and digital rights. Social and political ethics. Social and political ethics explore the ethical dimensions of social policies and political actions. Key issues include justice and equality, the principles of fairness and equality in social and political arrangements. Human rights, the ethical foundations and implications of human rights and their protection. Democracy, the ethical principles guiding democratic governance and civic participation. Contemporary ethical issues. Applied ethics also addresses contemporary issues such as animal rights, immigration, and the ethics of artificial life. It seeks to provide ethical frameworks for navigating complex moral landscapes and making informed, responsible decisions in a rapidly changing world. Chapter 20. Philosophical Counseling, Philosophy and Practice. The nature of philosophical counseling. Philosophical counseling applies philosophical insights and methods to help individuals address personal and existential issues. It involves a dialogical process where the counselor and client explore philosophical questions and perspectives to gain clarity and find solutions. The role of the philosophical counselor. The philosophical counselor facilitates reflection and critical thinking, helping clients examine their beliefs, values, and life choices. The counselor draws on philosophical traditions and techniques to address issues like meaning, purpose, and ethical dilemmas. Philosophical approaches to counseling. Different philosophical traditions offer various approaches to counseling. Existential counseling focuses on issues of freedom, responsibility, and authenticity, helping clients navigate existential angst and find meaning in their lives. Stoic counseling draws on Stoic principles of rationality, virtue, and acceptance, guiding clients to develop resilience and emotional regulation. Socratic dialogue uses the Socratic method of questioning to help clients clarify their thoughts and challenge unexamined assumptions. Ethical considerations in philosophical counseling. Philosophical counseling raises ethical considerations related to confidentiality, informed consent, and the boundaries of the counselor-client relationship. Counselors must adhere to ethical standards and prioritize the well-being and autonomy of their clients. The benefits of philosophical counseling. Philosophical counseling offers benefits such as enhanced self-awareness, improved critical thinking skills, and a deeper understanding of one's values and beliefs. It provides a space for meaningful dialogue and personal growth, helping individuals navigate life's challenges with greater insight and confidence. Philosophical counseling in practice. Philosophical counseling is practiced in various settings, including private practice, educational institutions, and community centers. It is increasingly recognized as a valuable complement to traditional psychological and therapeutic approaches, offering unique perspectives and tools for personal development. Future directions and challenges. The future of philosophical counseling involves expanding its reach and integrating it with other forms of counseling and therapy. Challenges include raising awareness, establishing professional standards, and ensuring accessibility and inclusivity. Philosophical counseling continues to evolve, addressing the diverse needs and concerns of individuals in contemporary society. Conclusion. The future of philosophy. The continuing relevance of philosophy. Philosophy remains a vital and dynamic field, addressing fundamental questions about existence, knowledge, ethics, and meaning. It continues to evolve, incorporating new insights and responding to the changing conditions of human life. Philosophy and global challenges. Philosophy plays a crucial role in addressing global challenges such as climate change, social justice, and technological advancements. It provides frameworks for critical reflection, ethical deliberation, and the pursuit of wisdom in a complex and interconnected world. The role of philosophers. Philosophers contribute to public discourse, education, and policy-making, bringing philosophical perspectives to bear on practical issues. They engage with diverse audiences, fostering a culture of inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking. The future directions of philosophy. The future of philosophy involves greater interdisciplinarity, global engagement, and practical application. Philosophers will continue to explore new areas of inquiry, integrate diverse cultural perspectives, and apply philosophical insights to real-world problems. Conclusion. The enduring quest for wisdom. Philosophy is an enduring quest for wisdom, understanding, and meaning. It challenges us to think deeply, question assumptions, and seek truth. Thank you for spending time here at the World Wisdom Well and learning from Exploring Philosophy. Thank you for receiving our gift of the heart. Please share this resource with those who may benefit from it. May we all be happy. May we all be well. May we use this present moment to expand our habitual ways of thinking and dare breaking the typical automatic patterns ingrained within us.